When I first bought the 13-acre stretch out near the edge of Reedridge Bluffs, the last thing on my mind was some neighborhood association. I figured being so far off the main grid meant I was free from all that suburban nonsense. I spent nearly 2 years putting together my dream cabin. Nothing fancy, just solid timber, some solar panels, a wide porch that wrapped around the front, and a view that stretched out into forever. That place? It wasn't just a home. It was a declaration. I called it Liberty, the Evergreen Community Alliance. They called it a visual disruption. The first sign of trouble came when a guy in spotless slacks and a golf shirt stepped onto my land. Name was Brent Mallory. Claimed he was president of the ECA, and he came with a letter in hand like he was serving a warrant. "You're violating several building standards," he said, with all the smugness of a man who'd never swung a hammer in his life. I blinked. "This isn't even part of your neighborhood." Brent smiled like a snake. "Actually, thanks to a recent zoning update, your land is now under our extended jurisdiction." I opened the envelope. Legalese, all caps warnings, and a demand. Comply or demolish the structure within 72 hours. I thought it was a joke. It wasn't. Apparently, their little HOA board had held a private vote to push the boundary just enough to include my property, 2 extra acres, conveniently tucked around my slice of land. No notifications, no say from me. Suddenly, my cabin didn't fit their planned rustic cohesion or whatever fancy phrase they invented to mean, "We don't like you." I tried pushing back. I marched into what they called their office, a converted laundry room in a basement beneath a luxury duplex, and asked to see records of this expansion. "Totally legal," they said. Unanimous board decision. The board? Brent, his wife Darcy, and 2 retired agents who sold most of the development's properties years ago. I tried showing them my deed. Brent barely looked at it. "Irrelevant. You're on our map now." By sundown, a notice was nailed to my porch railing. "Tear it all down or pay $30,000 in fines." I stood out there that night, coffee in hand, stars above me. I had 3 options: obey, sue, or play a completely different game. I chose door number 3. What Brent and his HOA friends didn't know, what hardly anyone in Reedridge did, was that the land their precious community clubhouse and 6 of their fancy lakeside rental homes sat on wasn't actually theirs. It had been leased years ago from a holding company, which happened to be part of a quiet investment fund I'd bought into when I was 27. It was just another passive asset in my portfolio, something I never paid much attention to. Until now. I pulled the lease. It was set to renew next week. Terms? 30-year lease, renewable every 10, with rent adjustable by the landowner at renewal. They were paying $1,100 a month for prime land that included their tennis courts, rentals, and the HOA's own headquarters. Absurd. I called Clara, my lawyer. She looked at the notice, then the lease, then whistled. "You can raise the rent, terminate it, maybe even evict them if they contest it." I nodded. "I want to raise it hard. Max legal jump." She smiled. $1, $100 to $3,750 a month works. Let's hit them with it. We sent the revised lease terms by courier that afternoon. Brent was hosting some tacky garden mixer on the clubhouse lawn when the letter landed. I watched from the trail above as he opened it. His face fell faster than a cheap folding chair. He spotted me watching, stormed over, and hissed, "This is extortion." "No, Brent," I replied. "This is a lease. You should have read the fine print." The fallout came fast. Emergency HOA meetings. Accusations of retaliation. Community drama exploded, and I wasn't even trying yet. I sent them a county-backed land valuation to shut down claims that the new rent was unreasonable. When they refused to pay, I served them an eviction notice. That's when the tenants in their lakeside cabins started panicking. Some had no idea the HOA didn't even own the land. One hired a lawyer. 2 others packed up and left. Then the local press caught wind. HOA threatens lone homeowner, gets hit with rent hike from unexpected landlord. The article spread like wildfire in town. Brent called me a rogue investor exploiting the community. But the narrative didn't hold. I was just a guy who built a cabin and got bullied by a bunch of self-important retirees playing government. People started showing support. Locals, shopkeepers, even some former HOA members who'd left because of Brent. It got dirty. One night, I came back to find my solar panels shattered and graffiti sprayed across my porch. Get out. I installed trail cams. 2 nights later, the cameras caught Darcy and another board member, Greg, tagging my cabin with paint cans. I called the sheriff. They were arrested. Brent panicked. The board started falling apart. Then I sent my final offer: revoke the demolition order, drop all claims over my land, and issue a public statement recognizing my independence. Or I'd terminate the lease entirely and repurpose the land into my own commercial retreat. They folded, but I didn't stop. I gave them 90 days to vacate the rental units. When they refused my lowball buyout offer for the cabins, I fenced the whole property, hired contractors, and launched Ridgepoint Escapes, a boutique retreat of high-end rentals overlooking the lake. The HOA building? I gave a facelift and turned it into my check-in center. Guests loved the rustic feel. Bookings surged. Brent? He resigned under pressure. His replacement, a calm, no-nonsense woman named Carla, reached out to make peace. We met for coffee. This community came close to wrecking something I spent years building. I told her, "But now you know who I am." She nodded. "We won't make the same mistake." We made a deal. They'd permanently release any jurisdictional claims over my land. In return, I'd allow community access to the tennis courts on weekends and space for local charity events. Now, my cabin's better than ever. Solar upgraded, interior renovated, and surrounded by a thriving business. The evergreen HOA still exists, but quiet, humbled, watching their old clubhouse turned into a monument to their own arrogance. Visitors now walk past a little wooden sign near my porch that reads, "Real freedom isn't handed to you. You build it." And every time I sit out front, coffee in hand, I remember the day they gave me 72 hours to tear my life down. Instead, I built something bigger. Today, that cabin isn't just where I live, it's a symbol. Every beam, every board, every sunrise off that porch tells a story of standing your ground when others try to push you out. What started as a quiet escape turned into a war I never asked for, but one I finished on my terms. They thought they could box me in with rules and red tape. Instead, I flipped the map on them and redrew the lines. Ridgepoint Escapes is thriving. Guests arrive every weekend looking for peace, and they find it in the same hills someone once tried to fence me out of. The old HOA clubhouse now books out months in advance. Funny how fast people forget it used to be a weapon aimed at me. I didn't just protect my home. I built an empire from the ashes of their arrogance. And now, when the stars come out and the night is still, I sit on my porch with a hot cup of coffee and think about that letter. 72 hours to comply. I smile every time, because that deadline didn't mark the end of something. It was the start of everything.